One of the craziest things for me to think about is how older people think in general, just like what goes on inside of their head. Because to me, looking back on when I was like 15, 13, specifically playing Minecraft because that's what I'm doing in this video, it's just like life just seems so easy. And now, in comparison, life feels much more difficult. We'll put it that way. And at the time when I was 13 and 15, I thought my life was hard then too. I thought I had big problems. But in retrospect, they really weren't. There was some crazy stuff going on, but I could have had worse problems. And arguably now is worse than then, but I wonder what people think because there's got to be people that are in their late 20s even. I mean, 30s, 40s, 50s, 70s that they must think when they were like 65. I wonder if they think like when they were 65, oh, if I had done this differently, or like I should have been more appreciative of my life then, and stuff like that. It's gotta. I mean, your mentality has to continue to change. I can't imagine that I turned 21 and all of a sudden I know all the answers. I do wish that there was a way that I could talk. I mean, I guess I could just go up and ask people, but for some reason in my head, it just feels like rude or like improper to just go up to older people and be like, "Hey, you're older. What's that like?" I that feels weird. I'm sure someday I'll get to that point. I've still got a long life ahead of me, but until then, I'll just sit here and ponder. I wonder if people that age get the same nostalgia out of like reimagining the memories they have with games from their time. Like for me, thinking about playing Minecraft when I was like 13 on my mom's phone, Minecraft Lite, because she wouldn't let me buy the full version. Like some of those are just my most fun memories of the game or like of my life at the time. Like that was just some of the most exciting stuff. And so I wonder if, I mean, I know other people have nostalgia, like they feel nostalgia, but about what? And if they do, is it to the same level? Like, do they have the same emotional response to thinking back on when they were 13, or like if you're 60, thinking back to when you were 50, thinking about little things like that? Harvest some leather. It only makes sense that people would have feelings like that all throughout their life. But does it stop? Does it stop when you're 13? Can people feel nostalgia for when they were 20 or 30? Like when does that when does your brain stop creating new memories to have nostalgia about? I guess is my main question. And once you realize you enjoy getting like that nostalgic effect, does that affect the nostalgia that you remember? Like, does that change the way that your brain tries to remember things going forward? I don't know what happened here. Does it change the way that your brain remembers things? I'd hope that it changes the way that you act, because for me, looking back when I was 13, I wish I had been more appreciative of the things that I did have then, or the things that I didn't have to worry about back then. But there's no way for me to know that I shouldn't worry about them because I didn't know they existed. Who knows? I'm sure in 5 years when I'm watching this video, I'll be thinking, wow, that guy didn't know this and this and that. And I can't even begin to imagine what I don't know now. But I look forward to learning. I think I've always been pretty excited to learn things. I try and keep an open mind about taking in new ideas and understanding new concepts. But I'm also very stubborn, which hopefully that is definitely something I hope that has changed by the time by the time I come back and watch this video. I hope I can be less stubborn. I've always been very hard-headed. I always resented people telling me to do things, especially things that I did not like. I would give my mom hell just because I didn't want to do things. If you're listening now and you do that, then I promise you'll regret it. And you'll wish that you could go back and do things differently in the future. But I guess, yeah, if you're a younger person now, and maybe you're just like, I mean, we're all confused. I'm confused about a lot of things. I've had some questions answered, but every question I get answered makes 10 more questions. But if you're a younger person right now and you're worried about the future or like what you're supposed to do, I would say don't worry. I'd say don't make that big of a deal out of it. As long as you're working, then you're good. And that doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to the grocery store and clocking in and putting in work. As long as you're just working. The biggest mistake, the worst thing that I've ever done for myself was wake up and not do anything the entire day. And the entire next day, and the entire next day. And everybody gets caught in droughts like that sometimes. But the biggest skill that you can develop is the skill to know that that's coming and still be like, nah, like, I gotta do something. This is what I mean by work. You gotta do something. You gotta go for a walk. You gotta get up. You gotta go just talk to somebody. Maybe that can be your work. Everybody's got different problems. Maybe your version of a challenge is just saying hello to people. You gotta just keep doing those little things, and in time, you'll feel better. You'll feel good. You'll be able to reflect and be like, wow, that guy, he didn't know what he was doing. And now I do know what I'm doing, and I promise you don't. I still have no idea. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting like a little grasp on what's going on around me. I feel like I've got a little bit of control. Maybe I've got a little bit of money saved up, and then it's just like something changes, something happens, and it's just boom. Right back to where I thought I had escaped from. So I don't think you can ever really escape from some things. And you just kind of got to come to terms with that, I guess. As for Minecraft, it's funny to think that I used to just be able to run around and just do nothing and have such a blast. I would literally just I would get on and I could just sit here with a stone pickaxe and I could just break blocks for 4 hours. And it was the most exciting thing. Just thinking about when I had like a chest on the ground and I would go and I wanted to fill that chest with cobblestone, and this whole thing, I mean, it would just be one chest, but whole thing would just be full of cobblestone except for this spot right here. And I would just fill it in. That always felt so good. That was some of my best times on Minecraft were honestly those memories. And that was way back. I was playing on my mom's phone. The worlds were not infinite at that time. And so you could reach the world border. You couldn't fall off or anything. There was just an invisible wall that stopped you. And on one of my worlds, I decided that because diamonds spawned on Y12, I think. I saw in some video back then. Because diamonds spawned a lot on Y12, I decided I would break every single block on Y12. And so for 2 blocks tall, 256 blocks by 256 blocks, the entire world, there was just your render distance. You couldn't see the other end. There was no blocks because I mined everything out. And I don't even know how many diamonds. At that point, I think I had forgotten about the diamonds. I was just enjoying digging out the entire world so much. And specifically the time I decided I was going to do 6 blocks wide. So it would have been this wide. It would have been this wide right here. So I'll just do this. It would have been this big. I wanted to mine out an area this big around the entire world border. So this would be the world border, and this would just be nothing. You could just into the void. You couldn't walk over there, but it would just be nothing past this point. And I mined out the entire world 6 blocks from the border wall at a time. And the first time I broke, and I was breaking them, and this is like the last layer, so I was breaking it, and then on the other side, there was just nothing. This was all blocks that I had destroyed, and I was breaking it. I got to that last block, I broke it, and I was just like, whoa. I had just created a 256 block, like, gigantic square around the entire frickin' world. Only using stone tools, because I'd never wanted to use the diamonds that I found, because I was always scared of the tools breaking. So I never used diamond tools. But yeah, that was a fun memory.